New cars always come with new features. Sometimes these are brilliant upgrades that make life so easy. Other times these features are so annoying they'll make you want to get out and take the bus. I've put together a list of the most annoying new car trends that really drive me up the wall, and I'm going to tell you why these need to be wiped out forever. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching CarWow. Buy, sell,
CarWow.
Cars with internal combustion engines need fuel filler caps, and electric cars need charging flaps. But why do they have to be so big? Just look at the size of the charging flap on the Mercedes EQC, and the one on the BMW iX is even bigger. It looks like someone pinched the air brake off a jet. There is no reason for any of this. A charging plug is about the same size as a fuel nozzle. It doesn't need an enormous door. Audi has the right idea with the Q8 e-tron. The charging port is behind a smaller flap that slides down when you open it. And you get a flap on each side of the car to make charging as simple as possible. It still isn't perfect though. The flaps open and close using an electric motor, which is just another thing that can go wrong when the car gets older. And that brings me on to my next issue. Why the heck are modern cars just so damn complicated? If you wanted to adjust your cruise control settings in an old BMW, there was a button on the steering wheel. If you want to do it in the new i7, you have to navigate through a load of touchscreen menus. This is annoying. And some manufacturers know this. Hyundai, for example, has just updated the new Tucson. Now you get loads of real heater buttons to make it easier to use the car while you're driving. But Volkswagen has done the opposite with the new Amarok. It made a big deal about this all-new pickup truck having some normal physical buttons. It even teased a video of the volume knob before it actually revealed the car. But it turned out the heating controls were still on the blooming touchscreen. Why, Volkswagen? Why? But it gets worse. The Amarok is basically a Ford Ranger underneath its skin. They share the same chassis and basic interior layout. And that truck has proper buttons under the touchscreen. So Volkswagen could have reused these for the Amarok, but it still went right ahead and decided to get rid of them. The lack of buttons isn't the only annoying thing about touchscreens. They're taking over from traditional dials as well. I don't mean digital displays behind the steering wheel. These can be a really useful upgrade that show much more information than an analog dial ever could. But some cars don't have a display for the driver at all. This started with the massive central display in the Tesla Model 3. But the single screen fever is spreading. Loads of cars from Skoda, Volkswagen and Cupra have tiny little driver's displays. And Volvo has straight up copied Tesla with the new EX30. You just get one big screen in the middle of the dash, and there isn't even a heads-up display beyond the wheel. This means you have the same problem as in the Tesla Model 3. You end up glancing to the side like that all the time while you're driving to check your speed. Anyhow, I really like Audi's new Matrix LED headlights. These can automatically mask out parts of the road ahead so you don't blind oncoming drivers. And they can highlight road markings ahead to stop you drifting out of your lane or warn you if there's a stationary car up ahead. They work really, really well. So why have I included these lights on this list? Well, clever adaptive headlights weren't enough for Audi. It decided to add a few gimmicks. This started with the daytime running lights on the RS3. These show a checkered flag pattern and spell out RS3 when you unlock the car. And now the facelifted Q8 comes with customizable daytime running lights too. These are a little bit weird, but they're nothing compared to what some brands are doing. Take a look at the Human Horizons Hi-Fi Z and Hi-Fi X. These have massive pixelated screens under the headlights that can show all sorts of patterns. But that's not all. The Hi-Fi Z comes with scrolling displays on the back doors that you can customize with your own text. But what happens if someone bumps into your door and cracks the display? You can't swap in a new bulb like an old car. You'll probably have to buy a whole sealed unit. And I bet it'll cost an absolute fortune to get these parts and then have them fitted. So while I do quite like the functionality and think it's kind of cool, I also think it could be a massive headache further down the line as the car gets older. We're living through the biggest transition in car history. Internal combustion is out and electric power is in. But before fossil fuels get banned for good, car makers should be making the most of their internal combustion engines. They shouldn't be muffling them with restrictive exhaust. And I'm not talking about soft limiters either. I'm talking about the actual sounds the engines make. Famously, BMW doesn't actually use soft limiters on its M cars, but they've still been hampered by increasing sound restrictions. Listen to this and you'll see exactly what I mean. To be fair, some car makers aren't following this trend, thankfully. The new Corvette Z06 has one of the best sounding V8s I've ever heard. Maybe Germany should take a leaf out of the USA's book on this one. Car designers love massive wheels. Customers love the look of massive wheels. But why don't big wheels come as standard on most cars? It's because car makers want you to pay more to get the best looking rims. Obviously. It's like they deliberately make the car look bad on the standard wheels to make you pay for the upgraded alloys. Take the BMW X1 for example. It comes with 17-inch wheels as standard. They look ridiculous because the shape of the car wasn't designed to suit small wheels. It looks so much better on the largest 20-inch rims, but these cost over £1,500 on the mid-range X-Line trim. It's the same story for the new Mercedes E-Class. As standard, it comes with titchy little 17-inch wheels. At least this British car's wheel size starts from 18-inch alloys, but these still look too small compared to the largest wheels you can buy. You've heard about fake air vents and fake exhaust fitted to cars. Well, here's something I never thought I'd see. MG is selling cars with fake brake calipers. Now this is what the wheels and brakes look like on a normal MG4. And this is what they look like on the faster X-Power version. Okay, so the brakes aren't completely fake, but those bright orange calipers are actually just metal covers that hide the regular brake calipers underneath. Now, admittedly, brake covers do serve a purpose in certain cases, but not really on road cars. You see, MotoGP bikes use brake covers to help keep the carbon disc warm in cold weather. This helps the riders slow down for corners more quickly. But an MG4 doesn't need special MotoGP style brake warmers. The covers on the MG X-Power are purely for show. To be perfectly clear, MG has in fact upgraded the brakes underneath these covers over the standard MG4's braking system. But that doesn't excuse the fact that these metal plates look like something from Wish.com. The Audi RS3, Mercedes-AMG A45S and Volkswagen Golf R are all cars currently on sale that have a four-wheel drive system with a special built-in drift mode. All these cars are fitted with a special rear differential and have a special driving mode that is designed to make it easy for absolutely anyone to slide their car around. However, there is a problem. Where are you going to use these modes? You can't use them on the road, and you'll get thrown out of most public track days if you try to drift around every corner. Even if you do have loads of private land to hoon about on, these cars don't drift like a normal rear-wheel drive car can. They all do smoky four-wheel skids that burn through all four tyres. Okay, so these cars are all hot hatchbacks. So it's fine if some of their features are a little bit silly. But what about the Kia EV6 GT? This is a serious electric family car, but it has 585 horsepower and a drift mode. Who's this designed for? The drift mode didn't even work that well. When I tried it, the front wheels span like crazy and filled the cabin with loads of smoke.
That was horrible.
Anyhow, that Kia EV6 actually brings me on to another problem with lots of modern cars. Can't believe I'm saying this. They're too quick. Now, I don't mean hypercars. They're supposed to be quick. You know, I love the fact that a Bugatti Chiron Supersport can do 300 miles an hour. And it's awe-inspiring that a McMurtry Spearling can do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 1.4 seconds. But does a normal family car like a Kia EV6 need to have 585 horsepower? Does it need to launch quicker than a Lamborghini Aventador SVJ and be able to do 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds? Of course it doesn't. And Kia isn't the only car maker doing this. The 435 horsepower MG4 X-Power I mentioned earlier costs less than £37,000, but it still managed to launch quicker than a Nissan R35 GTR, and it's just as quick as a BMW M2 over a standing quarter mile. The same goes for the electric smart Brabus #1. It has 428 horsepower, but it will give an 800 horsepower Dodge Challenger and a BMW M3 Touring a run for its money over a standing quarter mile. And Chinese brand BYD has just launched a 530 horsepower version of its Seal family car, and that costs less than £50,000. This sort of performance has never been so accessible, and I think it might be too much for some drivers. Have you ever taken a selfie in your car? Maybe. Have you ever wanted a car with a built-in selfie camera? Probably not. Mercedes, however, thought this was a great idea because it just put a dedicated selfie camera in the new E-Class. It's all part of the Super Screen in the infotainment system, which is a toned-down version of the crazy hyperscreen you get in the EQS. As well as a camera, it has built-in apps like Zoom, so you can have meetings in your car. Why? You can't use this while you're driving, for obvious reasons, and if you have to stop the car, you might as well have a Zoom call or take a selfie on your phone. But this isn't the only new car with a built-in selfie camera. There's one in the BMW i5 as well. Why? Who is going to use these features? They just add complexity and cost. Car makers are desperately trying to stand out, so they're making their cars look more and more outrageous. This is why BMW grilles have grown massively over the last few years. This is what the 7 Series looked like 5 years ago. And this is the latest car. It's also the reason Mercedes is developing weird exterior lighting for its next generation electric cars. Meanwhile, Hyundai has gone full-on cyberpunk with its latest Ioniq models to make sure you don't mistake them for any other brand. And Kia has decided to stop using curves completely on the new EV9 and EV4 SUVs. Even the wheel arches are made of straight lines. Some people will love these designs, others will hate them. But I don't think any of them will age particularly well. This isn't because I think they're all ugly. It's because designs that look different for the sake of just looking different usually look dated very quickly. Sometimes weird designs carve a path for others to follow, like how the Lamborghini Countach popularised wedge-shaped supercars, or how Chris Bangor and BMW showed that posh cars didn't have to look like boxes on wheels in the early noughties. But no one wants to do any of the following at the moment. Car makers are determined to make a big impact by reinventing their design language each time they reveal a new car. So will all these wild-looking cars be forgotten about in a few years' time? Let me know what you think by voting in the pinned comment.